Are you guys prepared to see the absolute worst chess game of all time? Because I think I just played it. So here we are. I'm playing with the black pieces, and my opponent is playing with the white pieces. I'm currently rated 884, and my opponent is rated 856. Here we go. So my opponent starts with e4 and c4, which I've literally never seen this. And after I strike back in the middle, my opponent should just take this way, I believe? Yeah, e takes c5. They should take this way. And they do. And then I take back. And then they push this pawn. And as you can see up here in the top right, I am literally already winning with black. I have already flipped the advantage of the initial board position that you get with white. You get a slight initial advantage because you're moving first. And I've literally already flipped that advantage. So that's the first ugly thing that happens. I develop pretty normally. My opponent takes, and then I should take back with the knight, which I do. Pretty normal stuff, right? And this knight is guarded. It's not hanging because of the queen. It's just kind of a trade. And my opponent blocks the pin. Now, this is when stuff gets really ugly. Knight f4, and this just hangs a piece. It just hangs, just straight up hangs the knight. And this is my first ugly move of the game. The opponent should just take this. It's a free knight. They don't see it. They attack my bishop. Now I take with check, which is a good move, but I mean the move to get here in the first place was terrible. So now the king has to move. The king can either go here or here, because this knight cannot be taken by any piece. So the opponent attacks the knight, which I think is the better move. Yeah, the opponent should go attack the knight. It results in a minus 1.5 advantage for black as opposed to a minus 2.2. So they attack the knight, and now I take I take their knight, and they're gonna take me back, and my knight's gonna escape. It's gonna scamper out to f4 again, where it was before, or it's gonna scamper out to h4. But I scamper out to f4 again, and again, this is just a free knight. And now my opponent sees it. So they didn't see it the first time. So first of all, I hung a piece. They didn't see it. I attacked. I had a pretty good attack. And if I just escaped out the other side, it would have been fine. It would have just been a little bit of a fortunate play for me. Something I got away with. But I made two blunders on the same square. And the bishop came and punished me for the second one. And I think in my mind, moving back here, I was like, oh, I was safe the first time, so I'm just going to move back. But I wasn't safe the first time, and the opponent just didn't see it. Anyway, they take. I move my knight to the middle of the board, which it really is not a good move either, because as you can see here, the opponent only has a +5 advantage if I just play kind of stable and push my pawn, but I try to get aggressive, and now my rook is hanging because once the knight comes to here, or once the bishop comes to here, it attacks this square and this square. So my rook can only move to these two squares because it's under attack. So it can really only move to this square, but it's also hit by the bishop here. So I'm going to lose my rook. And I do so. And as you can see now, I am down +15. So my opponent is absolutely slaughtering me. It's one of the worst games of chess I've played in a while. They are just up a full rook. Like I have a knight and a bishop. They have a knight and a bishop. We both have queens. They have a rook. I have a rook, and they have a rook. It's just an extra rook, just sitting there. A full extra rook. Let's continue. My opponent drops the bishop back, which actually loses a decent bit of advantage here. Which is kind of funny. They should just come here and hunt my king down. But they drop the bishop back, and I take the pawn, which apparently is not the best move here. What I should do is just push this pawn here and glue my knight in the center, and it's actually not that bad, apparently. But I go take the pawn, looking to win material back. And there's... again, this check is just brutal because it just wins the knight. Like, there's no way I can guard this. They don't find that. They move the rook that's kind of under attack, not really. But they do guard the knight that's under attack, but the knight's not really under attack if you're going to go win a knight. But as you can see, this move is kind of problematic because it allows me to... Now I glue the knight in the middle. And, yeah, now I move my king, which is... Is it the best move? King d8? I think it is. Yeah, king d8 is the best move, which is what I play. They move their king. And the reason for this I think it's just to connect the rooks here so that this rook is guarded. Which makes sense, right? But this square ends up being really weak. And my long-term goal was, okay, either I need to stockpile pressure here on this square with my knight, or maybe try to find some way in to attack the rook. You'll see as we go. So right now I bring the bishop, and now my plan is, okay, I'm gonna kind of fake sacrifice the knight here, eventually. Maybe here. Actually, this was the move. I was gonna go here, sack the knight so that the queen here is checkmate. That was my plan. And they give a check, hitting my bishop, and I was like, you know, this isn't good. I bring the bishop back, so I'm blocking, and again, this isn't great for me. You can see up in the top right, I'm still like the opponent's still plus 13, so I'm gonna try to go hide my king. They take the pawn, and now this is hanging again. If it wasn't guarded for the bishop. I'm just gonna hide my king on, actually the best move here is actually knight e6. Is to block with the knight and then just kind of call it a day and hope that I can get this checkmate here, which is honestly entirely possible. Like, it is plausible that I could get this, but there's a lot of ways to block. You can move the rook over, you can move this rook over, you can move the queen here, or here. Oh, not there, that hangs the queen, but these two moves are fine to block this checkmate. So there's a lot of ways that my opponent could have blocked this checkmate, but I slide the king over instead, and now my opponent misses a mate in 6, which is you give a check, and then I think you bring the rooks in. You give a check, and then I think you bring your bishop here, then bring the rook in or something like that. I'm not really too sure. But yeah, they take the knight instead. And the knight's guarded. And my opponent goes from being plus, well, mate in 6, essentially, which is literally a guaranteed win. But on the move before, they were plus 10 when it was my turn to move. And I made the wrong move that led to mate in 6. King d7 is actually better. This is better than trying to hide here, because you just can't end up hiding. But yeah, wild. And now I'm winning. Like, I'm now plus 3. Now, this could get a ton uglier if I didn't take the queen, but I did take the queen. And at this point, my opponent messaged me and was like, yeah, I mean, it happens. Yeah. And I was like, yeah. Now, this, as I said before, now my long-term plan of bringing the bishop here and attacking this square is just completely free. It's mate. And I get it. It was an absolutely crazy game. My emotions throughout this whole thing were just absolutely wild. From the beginning to them playing this weird c5 variation, which I've literally never seen. Yeah, I've literally never seen this, and just going forward, it was just from me hanging a piece on move. What is this? This is move 9. I hung a piece on move 9, but then won a pawn, and then hung another piece, the same piece on move. What is this? 11. And then hanging a rook here, like, just an absolutely wild game. Just capped off with like this long-term idea here. Still, maybe like this still could have come into play, you know, like if they leave something and they try to like hit me with the, oh, let's see, say the knight moves to here to block and they just leave it and they're like, okay, that's fine. What if they come like here and I hide and then they bring the rook? They hide again, and it's not mate, but it's pretty darn close. Surely there's some way for me to win this position. I can go here and hit the queen, and if they move, then it is mate in the corner. Like they go. The only way to block it is to go queen e2 and trade the queens, which is kind of wild. And even still, I have this kind of, I don't know. That's wild. yeah, just an absolutely crazy game. But yeah, I wanted to share it with you all because it was an absolutely ugly game. It was a crazy game. It was back and forth the whole time. Both of us making mistakes, and both of us made some good plays as well. So if you guys enjoyed, then leave a like on the video, and I think we're chilling. I will see you all in the next video. See ya.